Did you know that some of the biggest startup failures were not due to a bad product or a lack of funding, but because of avoidable legal mistakes? You could build the biggest thing, but if you do not have these legal essentials right, you might end up in lawsuits, losing investors, or even shutting down before you've actually begun. And in this video, I'm going to give you 10 legal essentials that early stage startups need to start and grow the right way. Hi guys, I'm Noma Grace, a corporate and tech lawyer passionate about helping founders and tech startups start, grow, and scale their businesses. Make sure you stick to the end because I'll share a bonus tip that will save you from nightmares, literal nightmares. Let's dive right in. Starting right off the very beginning, step number 1, choosing the right business structure. I will not stop singing this song. Your business structure is one of the most important decisions that you can make for the longevity and the success of your tech startup, because it is the vehicle that carries your tech products to the places it needs to go. And if you have a faulty vehicle, then you will not get there on time, or you will get there with several issues and several scars that were easily avoidable. Now, each country has different categories of businesses or different business structures that are available to you, but the most popular are sole proprietorships, which are not very good for a tech startup. You have partnerships, which are also, they have their uses, but they're not the most ideal. Then you have limited liability companies, LLCs, or limited by shares guarantees if you're in Nigeria. And they are the most versatile and the most advisable to use, especially for technology, which is supposed to be for profit. But if you want it to be non-profit, then you can either have an incorporated trustee or you can have a non-profit organization, again, depending on your country. The point is that the right business structure protects you from personal liability and it makes fundraising a whole lot easier. Step 2, get your founders agreement in writing. If you have co-founders, and if you have, especially when they're more than one person, so like you plus another person, especially when they're more than one, or you have like 3, 4, whatever, get your agreement down in writing, because it answers questions like your equity stake. It answers questions like what contributions are each person bringing to the table and what does that contribution qualify them for. Now, we all know that it's not everyone that is going to bring money to the table. Some people are going to bring their network. Some people are going to bring their expertise. Some people are going to be the ones to actually work to make sure that that tech startup gets off of the ground. How are they being compensated for that? You need to identify all these. You need to write down the responsibilities, the obligations, and the benefits of each party in your founders agreement. Is someone bringing cash? Is someone bringing sweat equity? What are those, and what obligations and rights come with that? When can they exit? What happens if someone leaves? Who has voting control? All these corporate governance questions will be answered in your founders agreement, so ensure that you have one. Step number 3, protect your intellectual property early. There are 4 legal ways that you can protect your intellectual property, either by a patent for innovations and all that, or by trademark for your unique brand identifiers, or by copyright, where you can protect your literary works, your artistic works, your software codes, algorithms, UI designs, etc., or by trade secrets, which are protecting confidential business information that gives you a competitive edge in the market. Either ways, whether you want to go through copyright, patent, trademark, trade secret, whatever it is that you choose, make sure that you identify that intellectual property on time and you protect it on time as well. Preferably before you start entering into agreements with third parties or before you publicize it to general public. Step number 4, have solid contracts with everyone, literally everyone. I understand, especially if you're working with family and friends, things can get a little hazy somewhere, but make sure that you have adequate legal written down agreements with people, because while verbal agreements have some sort of protection, again, emphasis of some sort of protection, it's always best to have it written down. That way you're sure of everyone's rights and everyone's responsibilities, the benefits, the obligations, so that there is no I said this and she said that, and there's none of that. So make sure that you have contracts, written down contracts with everyone, from your developers to the freelancers working with you, to your employees, to the independent contractors you have on your payroll. Every single person that you have some sort of agreement with, even if it's investors, third parties, however minute their contribution to that startup is, make sure you have it written down. Number 5, you need to have digital policies. So your privacy policy, terms of use, terms and conditions, EULAs, all that. You need to have them because what this does is that it helps you comply with all the data protection policies across board. So you have the GDPR, you have the CCPA, and a whole bunch of these other ones. You have the Data Protection Act of Nigeria. Having these digital policies in one way or the other helps you comply with these policies at scale. That way, whomever signs into and again, this is if you have a digital product. If yours is more tech hardware, then that's a different ballgame entirely. But I'm speaking for these digital policies now. I'm speaking to those that have digital products. Have them because it helps you again comply with these data protection laws and policies at scale so that whomever signs into your website or into your app, whether they're in Nigeria or in New York or in California or in the UK, you have adequate protections there. Number 6, you need to plan your taxes and other regulatory financial obligations from the very beginning. Now, I understand how Nigeria has this thing where if you're a small company, that's if you're making less than 25 million naira per annum, you are not subject to corporate income tax. Beautiful incentive for startups and smaller companies. Beautiful. But there are other tax obligations that you have. For instance, are you paying employee tax? Employee taxes, I would say. Do you have employees? Obviously, you need to pay certain taxes on them. There is also VAT. There is also stamp duty. And there are all these other tax obligations that you need to be aware of. So taking care of your tax obligations, or at least understanding what those obligations are from the get-go, is good, so that as you grow, they are not much of an issue to keep up with. And how do you take note of your tax? Number 1, keep adequate records of all your deductible expenses. Understand what value-added taxes are. Understand what withholding taxes are, and stamp duty, and capital gains tax, and any other tax that is not corporate income tax. Understand what these taxes are and when they are deductible. And if you're going to have employees on your payroll, as I mentioned earlier, make sure you understand the obligatory taxes that you need to pay per employee. The key takeaway here is to start your accounting early. Do not wait until you've reached a valuation of 1 billion naira or you become a youth. No. Start it early because it saves you a lot. Especially also if you want to apply for operational licenses and other things. So at least having that kind of saves you one less worry. Number 7, you need to get investor ready with proper documentation. Now, if you have any plans of seeking funds or for fundraising, then you need to have all the documents ready to go. And what are these documents? All your investor agreements, your term sheets, your pitch deck, your cap table, etc., etc. Have them ready and to go whenever it's called upon. Number 8 is understand the industry specific legal or compliance requirements. Now, each industry has their specific regulatory compliance requirements. For instance, fintechs and insurance technology companies and property technology companies and all these other individual niches, they have the specific obligations that they need to keep up with as their industry prescribes. So you need to be aware of what your industry prescribes and you need to comply with them. They might be a lot, but again, it's best to comply with them than to be found wanting. Step number 9, and I see this one happen a lot, especially with newbies, with freelancers that are just transitioning into tech, into owning a startup, or into just newly incorporated startups. Never ever sort out your business bank account. Never mix personal money with business money. This messes up your accounting and it doesn't give you a professional look. So make sure that your business bank account has been set up and is ready to go, and all expenses that relate to your business are coming out of that business account rather than your personal account. Make sure that you have your tax identification number and all these other things. Legal essential number 10. You need to prepare for legal disputes before they happen. Now, I understand that no one likes conflict, least of all settling conflict, but it's part of human nature, so you need to be prepared for them. Because what happens if a customer sues you? What happens if you enter into a disagreement with your co-founders or your investors? You need to understand how to navigate all of these relationships. And the best way to do that, or to prepare for legal disputes ahead of time, is to have these things in contracts and agreements written down, so everyone can see their obligations and can see their rights, their responsibilities, the benefits of adhering or complying, and etc. So every single question you have is already so every single question or possible means of a dispute will be taken care of, already has been taken care of in the agreement. The key takeaway here, as before, is to write everything down so that to protect yourself from disputes in the future. Now, I remember I promised you a bonus tip, so thank you for sticking around till now. The bonus tip is for equity compensation and vesting schedules. Equity compensation and vesting schedules. Now, I understand that, equity is a means of incentivizing people, freelancers, developers, co-founders, etc., to join and to stay with your company for the long haul. But this advice or this bonus tip is going to be split into two. I'm going to address, first of all, the founders, the tech companies themselves, and then I'm going to address the employees, the developers, freelancers, and co. Now, if you're a tech founder, if you're a startup, if you're issuing equity to someone as an incentive for them to do something, then by all means, make sure that vesting schedule or equity compensation is very, very, very detailed, down to the T. Make sure it's detailed, because if a mistake happens, now it's no longer what did the contract say, but the conversation shifts now to an interpretation of the clause rather than what the contract says. And when you leave something up for interpretation, there is 3 ways you can go about it legally, which we will cover in another video. But it takes the power out of you as a tech company. Now it's the contract was supposed to say this, it meant this, and you don't want to go into all that drama, right? So be as detailed as you possibly can, down to the very, very minutest detail. Now, on the other hand, if you're a developer, freelancer, you're working for a tech company in any capacity, and you are being offered equity as an incentive to work with that company, make sure that the equity you are being offered is being offered from a company that actually exists. Because I see this a lot, where founders offer equity for companies that they have not properly registered yet. And because the founders don't know because the developers don't know any better, they accept the equity. But don't do that. I'm here in this video and I'm telling you, do not do that. If you're going to accept equity from any founder or from any tech company, make sure that the tech company, the startup, whatever it is, has been registered and is operational in the country of its jurisdiction, and that your equity has either been restricted or has been included in the incorporation docs, or both of them, right? So that we don't make mistakes. Now, I think this brings us to the end of the legal essentials that early stage startups need to start and grow and survive and scale the right way. Obviously, there are more legal essentials that at each stage of growth you need, but as an early stage startup, emphasis on early stage startup, these are the 10 you need to take care of. So once you take care of these, you are sure that you are at least on the right path to growth and scalability and profits, which is what we all want. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please don't forget to like it so that it will be shared to other amazing people like yourself. I will see you in the next one. Bye.